immediately, without delay, hand over to Colonel Karen Peters. She's going to take us through the details of the crime stats of the province. Over to you, Colonel. Thank you.
Thank you, PC. Thank you, NC. All senior managers, media. Good morning. Our crime presentation is for the third quarter, October to December 2025, compared to previous year, 2024, October to December. As the PCA said, 10 we have not achieved. The murders we have not achieved. We have an increase of 3. On the murders, we have an increase of 3 cases. We have achieved with the sexual offenses. We have a decrease of -15. On the attempted murders, we have not achieved an increase of 116. Assault GBH, we had a decrease -109. Common assault, a decrease of 172. The common robbery, we had an increase of 9 cases, and the robbery with aggravating circumstances, an increase of 21. And in total for the content crimes, we had a decrease of the -177. On the breakdown of the sexual offences, you can see that the rapes we have achieved is -15 cases. On the sexual assault, we had 1 increase, and the attempted sexual offences, 4 increases, and attempted sexual offences, 4 increases, and the contact sexual offences, a -5 increase. Also on the breakdown of the aggravated robberies, on the carjacking, we had a decrease of the -2. The robbery at residential premises, we had 5 counts increase, and the robbery at non-residential premises, we also had an increase of 5. In total for our trio crimes, we had an increase of 8 cases. In our province, we don't have a problem of the robbery cash in transfer, bank robberies, and also we had the 0 truck hijackings reported. Next slide, please. This is just a breakdown per capita ratio per 100,000 of the population. For this quarter, we didn't manage with the murder, it's slightly increased, and also attempted murder and in the common robberies. Next one. If you look further into our contact-related crimes on the arson and the malicious damage to property, they have reflected decreases, and also on the total of the contact-related reflected a decrease of -18 cases. On the property-related crimes, our burglary at non-residential premises, we had an increase of 26 cases. The burglary at residential premises, an increase of 73. The theft of motor vehicles, an increase of 5 cases. And then the theft out of from motor vehicle, we had a decrease of -11. And also on the stock theft, a decrease of -2. However, on the property related in total, we had an increase of 91 cases. Also on the other serious crimes, the theft not mentioned elsewhere, the increase of 44 cases. Commercial crimes, an increase of 92. The shoplifting, an increase of 34. In total, on this category, we had an increase of 34. Of 170, sorry, and then the total of the community reported serious crimes and all 70 community crimes, we had an increase of 66 cases at 0.5%. And then the crimes detected as a result of police actions, the performance was good because we had increases on our legalization of firearms and ammunition. The drug-related crimes increased from 217. Driving under the influence of liquor, an increase of 72. The sexual offences detected as a result of police actions was the same report of 11 as the previous year. And then on the kidnappings, we also had an increase of 7 cases. If you look at the trend over our 17 community reported crimes, we had an increase in October and November. However, in December, we had an increase of 84 cases. And also for our districts, Francis Baard and JTG, there are increases in Amakwa, 60%, and ZFM had decreases for these 3 months. On our 17 community crimes, if you look at the top 30 stations, we have Kimberley of the Francis Baard district, Harishwe, Francis Baard, Rotterdam of Francis Baard, at the top 3 stations. Then we have Uppington number 4, the ZFM district, and also the Fisher of Francis Baard district as number 5 in the top 30 stations. Of all the top 30 stations, there were 18 stations that reflected increases, and the other stations decreased for this period. If we go over to the contact crimes, next slide. If we look at the 3 months, all 3 months are reflected decreases. October a -95, November -45, and December a -37. And then we can see that it is also only Francis Baard and JTG that did not achieve and had increases, whereas the other 3 districts had decreases for this period. Also, if you look at the contact crime, the top 30 stations, Harishwe, Kimberley, and the Rotterdam in the top 3, Francis Baard and Provincial from the Francis Baard district in our top 4, and then we also have Uppington as number 5 on the top stations, whereas Harishwe reflected the increase of 57 in the other stations had decreases. On this top 30 stations for the contact crimes, we have 11 stations that had reflected increases. For the murder, attempted murder and assault GBH, if you look at the cause and effect as to what caused these crimes, we can see that mostly it is arguments or misunderstandings. On the murder, there are 50 cases, attempted murder 293, assault is 1,096. And next one was also the vigilantism or mob justice, and also robbery related. Next one. If you look at the places of occurrence for these 3 crimes, we can see that the public places, for example, the street or open fields, recreational center park or parking areas, we have the most cases, and also at the residences of either the perpetrator or the victim or any other family or friends residence. For the murders, there was 46 in the public place, attempted murder 247, assault GBH 630. On the residence, the murder happened 52 inside the residence, attempted murder 242, and assault GBH 530. And also, you can see the liquor outlets, 4 murders in the liquor outlets, attempted murder 69, and assault GBH 127. Thank you, Ms. One. The murder, for the trend over the 3 months, you can see October and November we had increases, but we had a decrease in December. Also for the districts, Francis Baard decrease, JTG and Namakwa, and also ZFM had increases, and 60% we also had -2 decrease in murders. Also on the top 50 stations for the murder, 3 of the stations stabilized, there was the same number reported, and 10 stations had decreases on the murder. positive factors, we can also see that it is again arguments and misunderstandings that are the most reasons for this crime. 50 cases reported. And the next one is the daily commission of other crime. And there were 4 cases dealing with robbery related to murders. Thank you to this presentation. The places of occurrence, again it's public place or open street or field, with in total 46 cases reported, and the residences of the perpetrators or other family or friends, 32 cases reported. Next one. Then we have the multiple murders. We only had 1 case reported in Wollongong Station, whereby it was 1 incident, but there were 2 victims. If we look at the frequently used instruments used to commit these murders, we can see that knives are the most widely used, in 60 incidents, and we have 3 incidents of where firearms were used. Next one. For these 3 months, we did not have any murder of police members, and also we did not have any attacks on our rural communities. On the rapes for the 3 months, for October, we can see a decrease. November, we had an increase. In December, we had a decrease on the rapes. And the 2 districts that did not have increases were JPG and Namaka, and the other 3 districts reflected decreases on the rapes. Then we had our top 30 stations on the rapes. Number 1, we have Mtibistad in the JPG district. 22 cases reported, although it reflected a -3 from the previous year reported. Kimberley of Francis Bar had an increase of 7. Kalishue had a decrease of a -3. Official, a decrease of -4. And Republican had 1 increase compared to the previous year on the rapes. On the places of occurrence, again we can see it is the residences of perpetrator of the victim or family or friends, for 170, and then the public places, street or open fields, with 51 cases reported. Next slide. If you look at the liquor and drug-related offences, we can see that mostly on the assaults, it was alcohol involvement, and also we can see on the rapes, the 77 was alcohol involved, attempted murder 88, and murder was 16. And if you look at the premises, 127 assault GPHs happened at the liquor premises, 2 rapes, 69 attempted murders, and 4 murders happened at the liquor premises. Our educational premises, with no murders that happened at educational premises, but however we have 3 rapes that occurred at 2 at school, and we had 1 that happened at a tertiary institution. The rape that were at the educational premises, as I have said, 2 were at school, and the other 1 was at the tertiary education. And then the school, the incident that happened, it was 2 learners that were involved. And at the tertiary, it was 1 student that were involved as the victims. On our domestic violence related crimes, we can see that on assault GBH we have the most 379 that were domestic violence related, and common assault 441, and malicious damage to property also on 230 that were the domestic violence related crimes. On our carjackings for the 3 months, we had 1 increase for October, a decrease on November, and also for December. and we only had JTG district who reflected one case higher than the previous year. The others were constant or lower than the previous year. And on the carjackings, we had Postmasburg number 1, where 2 cases were reported, and then Alishuaswater, Kuruman, Rangeville, and Tilstad. At these stations were only 1 carjacking reported, and the others were 0. On the type of vehicles hijacked, 3 sedans were hijacked, and 3 bakkies, and 1 SUV, a station wagon. Robbery at residential premises. We can see October decrease, but November and December increased, and the 2 districts that had increases are Francis Bar and ZFM, and the other 3 districts reflected decreases. The robbery at a non-residential premises, also for the 3 months performance, October had increase of 2, November decrease of -3, and December increase of 6 cases. And the districts that did not decrease were Francis Bar, JTG, and Amakwa, who reflected increases, and Dixley and ZF decreased. Then we had our kidnappings for the 3 months. October -1, and November increase, and December also increased, and then on the districts, Francis Bar the most increases, and the others decreased, and basically were constant on the same number. And also on our top stations for the kidnappings, we have Kimberley with 13 kidnappings reported, Alishu 8, and Wollapan also 8, and then we have to start with 3 cases of kidnapping reported. For our extortions, we had 9, and 1 was a ransom demanded, 1 was misuse of power, and then we had 6 cases reported, and 3 of them were cases whereby they were threatened to reveal footages if the person don't pay anything. And then lastly, we have our 4 diversions. 55 peaceful protests and 35 were unrest situations in the province for this quarter. And this is the last slide of the presentation.